Shrouding the Heavens episode 137. Friendly reminder, watching this video requires 1 coin. Just kidding. Donghua told everyone that if they wanted to know the secret of the Bronze Immortal Palace, they should make the top 4 major powers of the Eastern Wasteland reveal the truth. The Desolate Valley, the Jiang family, the Ji family, Yaoguang, and the Jade Lake Holy Land. These 4 major powers all possessed extreme Dao holy weapons. Even if other ancient inheritances were to perish, they could still protect themselves. 3 of these families had members who had attained the Dao and become great emperors, making them the most unfathomable inheritances. The world didn't know what the 3 ancient great emperors had left for them. Then Donghua slowly spoke, revealing that he wasn't the only one who had come out alive from the Bronze Immortal Palace. Someone had already done so a long time ago. Suddenly, everyone remembered a legend. Countless years ago, someone brought out an immortal corpse from the Bronze Immortal Palace. That powerful individual perished not long after coming out. It was rumored that the immortal corpse was divided among several great holy lands, serving as evidence that immortals existed in the world. However, the great holy lands vehemently denied it, claiming they had never seen an immortal corpse and that everything was just a rumor. Donghua stated that this matter had passed for tens of thousands of years, and he felt it was time to reveal the truth. People from all sides spoke up, demanding the truth be revealed, as it was a piece of evidence of contact with immortals. Although the great holy lands vehemently denied it, everyone knew they had obtained the immortal corpse. Finally, the Queen Mother of the West from Jade Lake spoke, saying, 7 tens of thousands of years have passed since then. Since everyone wants to know, it wouldn't hurt for us to tell. She explained that at first, they truly believed it was an immortal corpse, but later realized they might have been wrong. That year, a total of 6 great holy lands divided the immortal corpse, including the 4 aforementioned families, the Wind Clan, the oldest existing power in the Eastern Wasteland, and the Sky Profound Holy Land, which perished 6,000 years ago. At that time, an unparalleled master came out alive from the Bronze Immortal Palace, bringing with him a body torn into pieces and emitting an unparalleled killing intent. That cultivator had been unrivaled in the Eastern Wasteland 70,000 years ago, with some saying he had become an existence comparable to an ancient saint. However, after carrying out the flesh corpse, he turned to dust. Several holy lords sighed, realizing upon closer thought that it must have been the corpse of a great emperor. It could be inferred that these families gained immense benefits from it, as a great emperor's body could be refined into an extreme Dao holy weapon. These major powers divided the fresh flesh, which is why they vehemently denied its existence, as such a huge immortal treasure needed to be slowly digested. The Queen Mother of the West and the Jiang family's Holy Lord, among others, compared the appearance of the immortal corpse recorded in their respective ancient texts with what Donghua had said. Everyone was astonished to discover a fact: the so-called immortal corpse was most likely that of Empress Ruthless. However, the corpse they obtained was missing many crucial parts, as they had only divided 1/3 of it. Based on the fractured wounds on the corpse, Donghua speculated that Empress Ruthless had most likely lived for a 3rd lifetime, or even a 4th. Empress Ruthless initially created the heaven-swallowing demonic art, slaying all kings and stepping on the bones of countless heroes to become a great emperor, a feat truly against the natural order. However, Empress Ruthless was brilliant and peerless, unmatched throughout history. In her later years, she also created the undying heavenly palace, shedding her demonic body to give birth to a divine embryo, severing all karma and thus living for another lifetime. She was also likely the only one to have created 2 ancient scriptures, which felt almost illusory and unreal. According to Donghua speculation, Empress Ruthless might have lived for a 4th lifetime, as consuming the true dragon immortal medicine could grant her another lifetime. They observed Empress Ruthless in the Bronze Immortal Palace attempting to shed her divine embryo again. If successful, she would be the first person to live for 4 lifetimes. Hearing these words, Yi Fan's heart skipped a beat, realizing that Empress Ruthless' time in the world was terrifyingly long. The holy prince next to him almost jumped up. Although his father, the Dozhan Holy Emperor, was mighty and renowned, he only managed to live for one lifetime by relying on the undying peach divine medicine. The Dozhan Holy Emperor was unable to live for 2 lifetimes because he encountered problems during his enlightenment, almost dying in the process, and only completed that lifetime by using an immortal medicine to save his life. The Holy Prince felt that living a long time didn't necessarily mean one was ancient, and he could only comfort himself this way, knowing his father didn't live long but was universally acknowledged as unrivaled. But then someone thought that if Empress Ruthless lived for 4 lifetimes, she would definitely encounter later human race great emperors. In the same era, there had never been 2 great emperors. They could only admire each other across time and space, evaluating each other through the ages. Nangong stated his final judgment, saying that how many lifetimes Empress Ruthless had lived was unknown to them. However, the last time she transformed into a divine embryo, something must have gone wrong. He and some living ancient figures carefully observed, believing that Empress Ruthless was destined to die there. In the end, her attack failed, and her peerless emperor body burst open, though it was unknown whether the divine embryo had emerged. Finally, Nangong also said, "There are still people here who have entered the Bronze Immortal Palace." As soon as these words came out, everyone was greatly surprised, looking at each other. Nangong explained that the world behind the gate of the Bronze Immortal Palace was very mysterious. They hadn't reached the end and didn't know if Empress Ruthless had ever stood there. Speaking of this, Nangong looked at Yufan. He said Yufan had also entered the Bronze Immortal Palace, and that Yufan's root of all things Mother Cauldron was actually obtained from there. Yufan nodded calmly, confirming that his root of all things Mother Cauldron was indeed taken from the Bronze Immortal Palace. As soon as these words came out, everyone was in an uproar. No one expected Yufan to have obtained the Great Emperor's exclusive holy object from the Bronze Immortal Palace. Nangong said that Yufan had formed a great karma with Empress Ruthless because the root of all things Mother Cauldron was something she had sought. Hearing Nangong's words, Yufan felt a headache coming on, as this great emperor was too terrifying. Empress Ruthless was peerless throughout history. In her later years, she created the undying heavenly palace and used it to transform into a divine embryo. She inherited the old body she shed and gathered it into an extreme Tao weapon. The ancient heaven-swallowing demonic pot was infinitely powerful. It was rumored that if it were to revive, it would be equivalent to Empress Ruthless reviving for another lifetime. The most terrifying part of Empress Ruthless' life for the world was naturally her first lifetime, where she advanced by stepping on the corpses of all kings, her heaven-swallowing demonic might unparalleled. In her later years, she created the undying heavenly palace, but no one knew how powerful it was, because by then, she had already ruled the world, with no one able to contend with her. Throughout history, if one were to speak of the most mysterious ancient scripture, it would naturally be the undying heavenly palace. No one knew its true power. However, the world speculated that it must have surpassed all ancient scriptures. After all, it was created by a peerless great emperor in her later years, and its cultivation method must have transcended all previous ancient scriptures. Some speculated that in her first lifetime, Empress Ruthless had traveled all over the world but couldn't find the materials to refine an extreme Tao weapon. Finally, in her later years, she refined her own body into the heaven-swallowing demonic pot. She sought the root of all things Mother Cauldron because she wanted to forge a second extreme Tao weapon. Unfortunately, the root of all things Mother Cauldron ultimately fell into Yufan's hands. Everyone in the heavenly palace stared at Yufan, their gazes almost murderous. The holy object sought by a peerless great emperor, whose bones were startled, had actually fallen into his hands. The root of all things Mother Cauldron was unique in the world. There could not be a second one. Only Empress Ruthless could defy the heavens and seize the Tao. Everyone was guessing that Empress Ruthless must have wanted to forge an ultimate extreme Tao weapon, but unfortunately, she ultimately failed. Yifan hadn't expected that he had taken Empress Ruthless' holy object, and his karma with this great emperor was truly significant. He had even almost caught her immortal medicine. Yifan felt a trace of unease in his heart, but he quickly felt relieved, believing that Empress Ruthless had been gone for hundreds of thousands of years. Even if Empress Ruthless was unrivaled throughout history, comparable to a divine being, what good would it do? She was ultimately annihilated in the dust of history. Nangongjung correctly said that there was karma in the unseen. Some said that Emperor Hongyu had not severed his karma and had traveled far to Zhongzhou, never returning until his death. Similarly, Emperor Void had not severed his karma, burying himself in the boundless void thereafter, his bones never to emerge. Someone mentioned these things, immediately giving Yifan a headache. However, Yifan wasn't afraid of these things. His only concern was that Empress Ruthless was not dead. The Holy Prince told Yifan that Empress Ruthless must already be dead. He argued that if she wasn't dead, how could there be human race great emperors in later generations, emerging unrivaled? The Dozhan Holy Emperor from the primordial era once spoke of some secrets, but unfortunately, the Holy Prince was young at the time and didn't pay attention to the details. The Queen Mother of the West also spoke, saying no one can live for such a long time. Empress Ruthless has indeed long since passed away. The Jiang family's holy lord added that if a great emperor were alive in the world, the extreme Dao Emperor weapons would sense it. The world didn't know how strong Empress Ruthless truly was, let alone how powerful the undying heavenly palace was, as it was considered the most mysterious ancient scripture. At this moment, everyone was staring at Yifan. Whether it was the older generation or the younger generation at the entrance of the main hall, their expressions were not very friendly, because the root of all things Mother Cauldron, the only one of its kind in the world, was in Yifan's hands. If it weren't for being in the Jade Lake Holy Land, and because the old madman, a saint, was involved with him, someone would probably have already been unable to resist making a move to snatch it. Without a doubt, if Yifan were to walk out of the Jade Lake Holy Land now, the bloody night from last time would most likely happen again, as someone would definitely make a move in the dark. Someone secretly spoke, saying, Yifan has obtained Empress Ruthless' inheritance. He might have obtained the heaven-swallowing demonic art and the undying heavenly palace. Yifan said that in the bronze immortal palace, he only obtained the root of all things Mother Cauldron. But everyone simply didn't believe him, insisting on pinning the identity of Empress Ruthless' inheritor on Yifan. Finally, Yifan said that if he cultivated the heaven-swallowing demonic art, would divine King Jiang Taishu not be able to tell? The people present were questioning the judgment of a peerless divine king. Yifan also said that if he cultivated the heaven-swallowing demonic art, would the Saint of the Sky profound Holy Land let him live and travel with him? The people present were doubting the vision of a saint. Finally, the Queen Mother of the West from Jade Lake also spoke, saying she believed Yifan could not have obtained Empress Ruthless' inheritance, and everyone had no reason to doubt him. Suddenly, a discordant voice came from the shadows, asking Yifan which immortal medicine he used when he saved Jiang Taishu in the Divine City that day. Another cold laugh came from the shadows, telling everyone that the one used to save Jiang Taishu was the true dragon immortal medicine, specifically a dragon fruit picked from it. If it were before, even knowing it was the true dragon immortal medicine wouldn't matter. All the human race great emperors had long since died many years ago, and their divine medicines had long since returned to the great wasteland. But Yifan had entered Empress Ruthless' secluded cultivation place and even brought out her root of all things Mother Cauldron. This couldn't help but make people's imaginations run wild. Many Xiong lords stood up, all revealing their murderous intent. Everyone in the hall, from top to bottom, locked onto Yifan. The heavenly palace was as cold as an ice cellar, with bone-chilling killing intent permeating the air. Some wanted to seize the opportunity to kill Yifan. The Holy Prince also took out his primordial battle spear, blocking in front of Yifan. Finally, Yifan told everyone that he did not obtain the heaven-swallowing demonic art or the undying heavenly palace, and that the true dragon immortal medicine was not in the bronze immortal palace, but in the northern region. Hearing Yifan say the true dragon immortal medicine was in the northern region, no one was unmoved. The immortal medicine personally planted by Empress Ruthless was a top-tier immortal treasure. Everyone immediately asked Yifan, "Where is the true dragon immortal medicine?" Yifan, however, replied that immortal divine medicines are supreme holy objects between heaven and earth, with only a few existing in the world. This was equivalent to a place of immortal treasure, and he couldn't casually reveal its location. A Xiong lord spoke, saying that if Yifan wanted to prove his innocence, he could only take them to see it. Otherwise, as the inheritor of Empress Ruthless, no one could save him. Li Heishui, outside the main hall, knew that Yifan wanted to use this opportunity to eliminate a group of powerful individuals. Thinking of the place Yifan had mentioned, Li Heishui shivered. The Black Emperor was also astonished and shivered several times, knowing Yifan wanted to use the Myriad dragon nest to kill a group of holy lords. Yifan stood in the main hall, very calm and composed. He said that such a guarantee could not be believed by anyone, as when an immortal divine medicine appeared, blood would definitely flow like rivers because countless people would want to snatch it. But the powerful individuals in the heavenly palace said, "Yifan has no other choice. If you don't reveal the true dragon immortal medicine and prove yourself, you will be killed immediately." In the main hall, everyone pressured Yifan because the immortal divine medicine was too important. Many wanted to see it, each with their own plans, and even more harbored killing intent towards Yifan. Now, they only lacked an excuse to act. For example, the elders from the Zifu Holy Land ignored everything, wanting to avenge their past humiliation. A Xiong lord told Yifan, "All of this is actually very simple. You just need to take us to personally see the true dragon immortal medicine, and then you can naturally prove your innocence." Many other people's eyes flickered with uncertainty. The divine medicine was too important, and no one could remain calm. Yifan, however, shook his head and said that if the true dragon holy medicine were to appear, it would probably cause a great stir. Seeing him like this, Li Heishui and the Black Emperor knew Yifan must have made up his mind to use the Myriad dragon nest to trap and kill the angry crowd. Because they knew Yifan too well, he refused to say anything about where the immortal divine medicine was. His words were very fierce and resolute, and he seemed to not trust some people in the main hall at all. Someone in the heavenly palace sneered, pressing harder. Killing intent descended like sharp blades, and a battle was imminent. At this moment, the Holy Prince had already gripped his peerless fierce weapon, about to cause a ruckus in the heavenly palace. The decaying fierce weapon spewed out terrifying power. Many people had locked onto Yifan. If a great battle were to break out, they would definitely rush forward immediately to seize the root of all things Mother Cauldron, as this was an excellent opportunity. Even if Yifan was connected to the saint at the time, if he were confirmed to be Empress Ruthless' inheritor, he would still not escape death. The great holy lands would not allow him to live in this world. At this point, everything was ready. All that was left was the final step of making a move. Finally, the Queen Mother of the West from Jade Lake spoke up to protect Yifan, saying she believed Yifan had no connection to Empress Ruthless, but merely obtained the essence of profound yellow through a fortunate coincidence. But she was immediately refuted by a hegemon, who insisted that Yifan must have obtained Empress Ruthless' inheritance, as otherwise, such a coincidence would be impossible in the world. Yifan stubbornly refused to reveal the whereabouts of the true dragon medicine, his tight-lipped demeanor causing cold glints to flash in many people's eyes. The atmosphere on the scene grew increasingly tense. The Black Emperor and Li Heishui knew that Yifan was putting on a show, needing to make the act convincing enough to attract a large crowd. These old fellows were as cunning as ghosts. The elders from the Zifu Holy Land were about to make a move. Finally, a holy lord spoke up at this moment, being critical, but also demanding to see the true dragon immortal medicine. The holy prince almost tore off the roof, swinging his battle spear like a huge club, almost letting it fly out. A battle was practically about to break out. Only then did Yifan reluctantly compromise, agreeing to take everyone to see the immortal divine medicine. However, he did make many demands. Yifan said that place was not for just anyone to go, life and death were at one's own risk. Next, Yifan was incredibly dilatory, talking endlessly about a bunch of things, making some great powers and holy lords wish they could slap him twice. Everyone saw Yifan obstructing and deflecting, simply refusing to reveal the location. They became even more convinced that there truly was a true dragon immortal medicine. In many people's eyes, if Yifan, a cultivator of the Four Seasons secret realm, could pluck it, then they, as hegemons, how could they be worse than him? Yifan then said it wasn't suitable to go at this time, as it was currently the grand event of the Jade Lake Holy Land. But the more Yifan tried to stop them, the more these people wanted to go. They said there were formation masters present, and as long as a Jade Gate was opened in the northern region, they would arrive in the blink of an eye, taking no time at all. Yifan still grumbled and made all sorts of excuses, remaining unwilling to set off. Many people couldn't stand it anymore, having never seen such a dawdling person. A large hand slapped forward, wanting to slap Yifan to death. The Holy Prince made a move, his golden fist like a huge hammer, smashing out and colliding with that large hand. That person spat out a mouthful of blood, his body cracking in many places. The large hand instantly turned into a pulp of flesh, completely losing its shape. His body flew back hundreds of feet, crashing into the wall. This made everyone's expression change. A half-step great power was almost directly slapped to death by the Holy Prince. Everyone was shocked by the terror of the Donghua Holy Ape clan. After Yifan's outburst, he almost stopped continuing, as otherwise, it might truly be too much. He walked forward, revealing an unwilling expression, and agreed to set off immediately. Of course, he reiterated once more that the road ahead was dangerous, and life and death were at one's own risk. Many people were already annoyed with him. If it weren't for the Holy Prince being by his side, they would definitely have sealed Yifan's mouth first. Not long after, a Jade Gate appeared. Hegemons from all sides, including great powers, holy lords, and supreme elders, entered the Jade Gate. With a flash of light, they appeared on a vast ice plain at a high altitude. It was covered in ice and snow all year round, a vast expanse of white. Many people recognized this place. The Jiang family members had strange expressions, behaving most unusually, because this place had a connection to them. 70,000 years ago, this place was an endless expanse of ice mountains, towering into the clouds, majestic and grand, stretching endlessly. But at that time, a great upheaval occurred. Almost all the great holy lands participated in the battle. Finally, a divine king of the Jiang family, wielding an extreme Dao weapon, swept this place clean. That battle shook the heavens and earth. An ancient holy land on the ice plain was erased from existence, everything turning to dust under the Hengyu holy furnace. It was also that battle that elevated the world's fear of extreme Dao weapons to a new level, as they were powerful enough to destroy a mighty holy land. Yifan led everyone closer to the ruins of the Mingshan Palace, which was the Myriad dragon nest. Yifan asked the Holy Prince, "How is your relationship with the primordial royal clan?" The Holy Prince replied that it was pretty good. Hearing this, Yifan immediately relaxed a lot. He said that they might disturb the primordial kings later, and if they couldn't escape, the Holy Prince would have to put in more effort. Yifan secretly communicated with the Holy Prince, discussing various aspects along the way. Of course, this was still not foolproof. Disturbing the primordial royal clan would definitely be a colossal disaster, and the ancient creatures of the righteous path might even disown their own kin. However, this time Yifan had some confidence in his heart, because the Black Emperor had mastered a corner of the Void Great Emperor's chessboard formation, which was specifically used to open Jade Gates. Although the Black Emperor was unreliable when using this chessboard formation, it was better than nothing. Along the way, Yifan also continuously communicated with the Black Emperor, telling him to be ready to traverse the void. This time, they did not ascend the ice and snow palace, but instead went directly around to the back mountain, heading to the resting place of the dragon veins. Upon arriving here, Yifan still tried to persuade everyone not to take risks. But the more Yifan did this, the more a group of profound great powers wanted to go in. Yifan led everyone into the underground palace and arrived before the huge abyss, and beneath the abyss was the Myriad dragon nest. A group of people felt the aura of dragon energy and divine essence, and all prepared to leap down. Ouyangyi suddenly spoke, saying now he can lead the way. At this time, Yifan was protected by the Queen Mother of the West, so those Xiong lords didn't make him follow them down anymore. Several great holy lords remained still. Not a single one went down. This included the divine monk from Shima and the war king from the Southern Ridge War God Temple. These people, including the supreme elders from various sects, all leaped down. In addition, there were some powerful rogue cultivators and some artists. This made Yifan quite regretful. These important figures were very composed, having said little from beginning to end. They knew it wouldn't work. If the immortal divine medicine didn't appear, they probably wouldn't make a move. Seeing Yifan's expression, the Black Emperor transmitted a message telling him to be content. He also asked, "Does Yifan really want to destroy all the great holy lords? If so, wouldn't the Eastern Wasteland fall into chaos?" Yifan finally revealed a brilliant smile. Although he had some regrets, he felt it was acceptable. At the very least, all those who had just threatened him had jumped down. Among them were not only half-step great powers, but also a few great powers. If they were all annihilated below, those Xiong lords wouldn't know what kind of expression to make. Time passed little by little. They waited for a long time but saw no movement. Yifan didn't know why this extremely dangerous place had become so peaceful. It wasn't until half an hour later that someone rushed up, reporting to the great holy lords that there was a primordial dragon nest below, and also an ancient five-colored altar. At this point, whether it was the holy lords or those supreme sect masters, none could sit still. Even the divine monk from Shima chanted symbols. Above the abyss, all the holy lords and supreme sect masters flashed and disappeared, rushing down. Even they couldn't resist making a move. Of course, Yifan was also swept along, with the Black Emperor and the Holy Prince following. This place was too dangerous, so Yifan hadn't let Li Heishui and the others follow. The Holy Prince said he sensed the aura of a primordial king. The abyss was tens of thousands of meters deep. When they landed, a sense of ancientness and desolation rushed over them, as if they had returned to the primordial era. Many people stood before the dilapidated five-colored altar, observing carefully. More people, however, rushed into the Myriad dragon nest. There, dragon energy surged like a mighty river, flowing endlessly. Finally, everyone entered the 9 ancient caves. At the end of the ancient cave, a huge stone gate blocked the way forward. Many ancient characters were carved on it, completely unidentifiable because they were not human characters. Someone began to break the door, wanting to open it and thus enter the Myriad dragon nest. Yifan secretly instructed the Black Emperor to be ready to send out the Void Great Emperor's formation at any time, regardless of where they might be teleported to. At present, only the Great Emperor's formation could take them away, otherwise, they might be intercepted midway. A Xiong lord from a supreme great sect personally made a move, causing rocks to shatter within the ancient cave. But that stone gate remained completely still. And the ancient characters on it seemed to have revived, like small dragons crawling after the cave, emitting an ancient and eternal aura. There was a pit in front of the stone gate where the true dragon immortal medicine had once taken root. Yifan clearly remembered the scene from that day. Within the Myriad dragon nest, there was an existence like a peerless great fiend. Many Xiong lords joined forces to break the restriction, wanting to open the stone gate, but they still couldn't budge it in the slightest. A Xiong lord spoke, asking Yifan, "Why can't the stone gate be opened?" After speaking, he extended a large hand, wanting to grab Yifan. At this moment, that stone gate, which even the holy lords couldn't move with their full power, suddenly opened by itself. An incomparably terrifying aura surged out. A large hand reached out and tore off the head of a supreme elder from the Wanchu Holy Land. Another large hand directly pierced through the chest of a supreme elder from the Jizi Holy Land, grabbing out his internal organs in one go. All of this happened too quickly, beyond everyone's imagination. Two terrifying creatures, like demons from hell, emitted unparalleled killing intent, standing before the huge stone gate. The Supreme Elder who had just wanted to attack Yifan was caught by a terrifying creature and torn alive into two halves. Blood rained down on the people around them. That scene was incredibly terrifying. Everyone's scalp tingled, feeling that something terrible was about to happen. They seemed to have opened the gates of hell, releasing terrifying fiends. This was the dwelling place of primordial creatures. If a primordial king were to emerge, it would be a colossal disaster. Everyone quickly retreated. Many people stared at Yifan, wanting to choke him to death. A burst of blazing divine light appeared, cutting off their retreat. A golden half-human, half-demon creature appeared. Many Xiong lords exerted themselves, attacking together. But the primordial creatures appeared very strangely, more than a dozen appearing consecutively out of thin air. At the same time, terrifying roars came from within the Myriad dragon nest. Everyone was astonished to discover the scene inside. Several divine sources were floating there, with primordial creatures sealed within them. There was also an ancient coffin floating among the pile of divine sources, making people feel suffocated. Flesh and bones seemed about to crack open under this extremely terrifying pressure. And at this moment, they finally saw the true dragon immortal medicine, rooted in the divine source fragments in front of the ancient coffin. Looking at this ancient coffin, the Holy Prince was somewhat puzzled. He said that primordial races would not bury themselves in coffins. His words greatly shocked Yifan. In that case, what was sealed in the ancient coffin should not be a primordial race. Back then, when Yifan first saw this vermilion ancient coffin, he felt a chill down his spine. Now, hearing the Holy Prince talk about the primordial race's secret, he was even more horrified. The primordial races had no concept of coffins at all, so why was there a vermilion great coffin here? At this moment, the primordial creatures had already begun to slaughter the Xiong lords from all sides. Yifan told the Black Emperor to quickly send out the chessboard formation and leave this place. But the Black Emperor's greedy habit resurfaced. He stared at the large divine sources within the Myriad dragon nest, drooling and saying, "Wait a little longer. Maybe there will be a great harvest." Many Supreme Elders were beaten until their bodies and spirits were destroyed. Some had already taken out their profound jade platforms, but had no chance to activate the formation, because an incredibly powerful existence had destroyed everything. Yifan told the Black Emperor to send out the formation, but the Black Emperor was still thinking about the immortal treasures within the Myriad dragon nest. This made Yifan unable to help but curse. At this moment, Yifan and his companions were not being attacked, relying on the Holy Prince who was communicating with these ancient creatures in primordial language via spiritual transmission. At this moment, Yifan completely lost his temper. He truly had no choice when encountering such a scoundrel dog. The Black Emperor acted like a dead pig unafraid of boiling water, simply refusing to leave. He even insisted on having the Holy Prince enter the Myriad dragon nest to retrieve two immortal treasures. Yifan's mind was filled with dark thoughts. His original plan was excellent, to trap a group of powerful individuals here. But the Black Emperor had become a variable, refusing to cooperate. The Black Emperor spoke, saying, "While the Myriad dragon nest is empty, let's go to the primordial creature's lair. If anything changes, we can traverse the void at any time." Just then, a scream came, shaking the entire Myriad dragon nest. Another top-tier important figure had fallen, the Wanchu Holy Lord. The Wanchu Holy Lord, a peerless figure of his generation, had now died in the Myriad dragon nest, his skull ripped open by a purple creature. The Black Emperor used the formation to traverse the void, but he didn't intend to leave. Instead, he appeared in a dragon cave not far away. He clearly hadn't given up on the immortal treasures within the Myriad dragon nest. Okay, that's all the content for this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe. After all, your support is my motivation to keep creating content. I'm Yifan. See you in the next video.